I think I know most people on here, but I'm Julie Sigmund, Director for the Omaha STEM ecosystem. And thank you for taking time from your day to be here. Whoops, wait.
Turn the camera back on.
Yep.
There we go.
There we go.
Maybe the 15 months.
I just realized I have my name up. All right. So much about knowing everything about Zoom. Anyhow, I'm excited that you're here. This is the first for the 2021 Roundtable series. We have our second one coming up in August 26th and October 28th. And during this series, we're going to be talking about building a thriving STEM community. And what does that mean in no matter what sector you are in? Last year, for those that attended, we had our very first series, and it was such a success. The feedback we got was very positive. And the one thing that we took away from that was the power of connecting and making possible collaborations. So for new people that are here, this is an opportunity to reach out to people that can help you and develop some partnerships for you around STEM education and building that future workforce. And then also meeting some new people. Just a brief overview of what we're going to do today. We're going to start out with Levi Teal from AIM Institute doing just a short presentation on the STEM community platform. It is a partnership with the Omaha STEM ecosystem, AIM Institute, and sponsored by Cox. And for many of you are already on it and have been posting your programs and resources, but for anyone new, it is an online resource that is all things STEM. So there are programs for youth, there's professional development for educators, there's lots of different other resources, but more importantly, we also want to see this as a career exploration opportunity. So we will be asking people from the community to give us some feedback on how we can build out some of those career exploration opportunities moving forward. And then Jim Collison with Gallup is going to take us into breakout rooms. So enjoy, and I'm going to turn it over to Levi for her presentation. Thanks.
Thanks, Julie. So I'm excited to talk about our STEM community platform. It fits well with the theme for today's meeting about challenges overcome and successes made in the last year. So this has been an idea that I think Omaha STEM ecosystem has kicked around pretty much since its inception. How can we represent our entire STEM community? How can we connect all the programs, all the providers, all the people in our community in one place and represent all of it? And so last year, OSE and AIM partnered to create this resource online. Really what we wanted to create was a clearinghouse of information about programs, events, and career information all in one place, all cataloged together in a one-stop convenient location. We thought it was really important to do this because we know a healthy, vibrant community depends on a skilled and growing workforce, and we want to get as many people as possible interested in STEM careers and start on their STEM career journey. So we knew going into this that the greater Omaha area has numerous STEM educational programs and resources, but sometimes they operate in a silo and people interested in new programs and events may not know where to look. So the goal of the program is to help connect programs and resources and to really facilitate more efficient and effective career pathways to close the talent gap. And we wanted to create like the primary resource for sharing and promoting STEM programs. So I'm just going to go through a quick demo of the site and show you a few cool tricks along the way. So if you go to stemplatform.org, you can visit the site. It is free to the public. It's free to people who want to use the resource. It's free to programs who want to post their information on the site as well. The funding for this comes from generous sponsors such as Cox Business, who are paying for the development and the upkeep of the site. So when you visit the site, you can learn more about the platform, you can learn more about STEM, you can learn more about the sponsors of the site. There's opportunities for companies and organizations to support the platform through sponsorships, and in return, they will be promoted on the site. One of the features I'm really excited about is the STEM content catalog. And this is where STEM programs, events, and resources across our community can be promoted. All of these are things that are taking place in our community right now. And this tool offers the functionality to search, to sort, to filter by categories such as program type, age, format, if there's a cost involved. You can also search for specific organizations that have opportunities posted. You know, AIM had originally built a scaled down version of this just for tech, but in partnering with OSE, we were able to expand it out to the SE and M of STEM. And right now we have slightly over 500 different programs and events that are listed on the catalog. And that number changes because as events pass, they drop off of the site and new ones are added. Anyone who is in this meeting that is associated with STEM programs or events in our community, I encourage you to promote your programs right on the site. It's super easy to do it. There's a quick form you can fill out. You just click a link, you put in a little bit of information here about your program offering. So it can be categorized and you submit. It gets sent over to AIM. We take a quick look at the submissions to make sure that they are not spam, and then they get posted on the site. Again, and I just want to underscore, it is totally free to do this. We don't charge programs any money for promoting their programs on the site. If you were to click on any of these programs like this one, Code Ninjas, you can find out more information about the program, where it is, when it is, some more details, and then you can click go to offering, and this will be an external link that'll go over to the organization site so you can get more information and even register for the event. So right now registration isn't taking place on our site, but we are happy to funnel site visitors to program organization websites to get more information. We're also developing new parts of the site to explore career information for STEM. And so right now we have sort of sub-sites around science, technology, engineering, and math. You can go to any of these and learn more about the career field and possible careers. Site visitors can take career assessments to discover possible career matches. They can explore different types of careers in these areas. In some cases, you can watch related videos or explore interactive activities specifically about those careers. Real world current jobs are listed, as well as program and education information, which links back to the STEM catalog. One of the things that we'd like to do next is sort of, this is on the horizon, is building out more information about medical and health careers and about different industries in STEM. And so instead of just looking at the S, T, E, and M, start looking at it by industry and by sector. Right now, the website functionality is actually built to do that, but we need to create the content. So just do a quick plug, a quick ask here. If there's anyone in this call that is interested in helping us build out that content, we are happy to take volunteers to work with people who are actually in those fields So we can really capture a good overview of what it's like in that career field. And that's how we populated the content for the STEM career sections that we have now. We worked with people across our community that are actually in these careers and could share their expertise and knowledge so that we had a good description of those fields. So that's my quick overview of the STEM community platform and what we have so far. There's a lot of ideas that we have on the horizon for continuing to build this out. I also think it would be great to add a section devoted to internships. And right now you can post internships in the offering catalog, but I think there's some additional functionality we can build into the site specific to internships that would be a great resource for our community. To wrap this up, I would say that, you know, in the last year, we accomplished a lot. We built this site from the ground up. We populated it with content. We launched it April 1st. We've been tracking site content ever since. And what we see is when we promote this site on social media, in newsletters, in our community, we get a flurry of site visitors. So that's something we're going to continue doing. And I think one of the things that has made this site such a success so far is the strong support we've had from our program partners in the community, both in creating content, publishing their programs, and promoting it to their communities and networks. So that's all I have for my presentation. Julie, did I miss anything? Anything you want to add about the STEM community platform?
No, I think you got it. And the important thing is send me an email if you're interested in learning about how you can be part of building out those contents. And as Levi said, this is in its infancy. We have several iterations that we will be building out to make it very robust. We want to make sure that we're reflecting what's going on in the community. So thank you, Levi. I'd like to now introduce Jim Collison from Gallup, who has been with us for a long time and has volunteered to be our leader in this breakout session. So Jim, I'll let you take it from there.
Thanks, Julie. Appreciate that. Pretty easy job today. You're the content, so hopefully you've come ready to share a few stories as we talk through those. I do want to reiterate what Levi went through is a decade of work, or at least talk, that Julie, we have spent a ton of time talking about this platform. Mm-hmm. And I think our success for the Omaha STEM ecosystem this in 2020 was getting this launched. And it's super important. Like it, to me, for someone who's been talking about it for a decade, to have it, to see it functioning and to see it working. Levi, that's a beautiful demo that you just did there. It was like, wow, like we've really made some progress here. So if you're kind of looking at that and think about time, well, it is about time and it's there and we're excited for it. So Levi, thanks. Julie, thanks, and the whole team for really to do that. I haven't had a chance to really say that in front of the community. From the industry standpoint, it's really, really important that we have this. So if you can contribute to it, whether it's through content or whatever, make sure you get connected so we can get that done. We want to spend a part of our time here, about 15 minutes or so, hearing from you, and we've got breakout rooms assigned. I think I have everybody in breakout rooms. If we get going and you're not in a breakout room, I will find you into that. But a couple reminders, kind of as we think about coming out of 2020, let me share my screen for just a moment here, and we think about some of the work that we did during the roundtables of 2020 and the kind of the 9 visions, and I won't read them to you. We'll provide this slide here if this is the first time you're seeing it. Julie will provide the slide afterwards if you want to take a look at it. But I wanted to use it as a way to kind of pick your brain as we think about these stories, and I'll have these questions here in just a sec. As we think about these stories that we want to hear from you, they kind of come out of these 9 visions. So whether we're talking about meeting basic needs to build engagement or adapting a blended environment for individual needs, whatever those are, hopefully in your stories today, as we kind of talk about this a little bit, that will you can leverage these concepts for that. When we go into breakout rooms, it seems complicated, but it's actually it's very easy. I'll also put these questions in chat so you have them as you're going into it. But we really want to hear some examples of success that you had during the pandemic. So what went right? What will you continue to hold on to? What are some emerging challenges maybe where virtual will work for you? What needs to stay? I think this was a question of, I know we're all anxious to get back in person, but what kind of great things happen that you think, we need to do it this way going forward? We kind of want to hear these stories. Each of the rooms will have a moderator in it. And that moderator will help keep the conversation moving. Each room has 8 or 9 folks in it, so we'll need to move the stories right along. But an opportunity to hear from each other and ask some questions in those rooms. Though we have plenty of time, so don't feel rushed. But we can't have one person with a 10-minute story. So just keep your time brief there. The question or the answers we're really looking for in this is what are the positives that should stay? And so we'd like to hear from you on that. I'm going to send you into breakout rooms. Now, listen, I know breakout rooms for some of you are difficult and you don't like doing that. If you don't want to go into the breakout room, we'll host a discussion right here. Don't leave, though. I know we see this at Gallup whenever we host a big webinar or a big Zoom like this, and we go into breakout rooms, we lose 5% of the people. They're like, I don't want to be in a breakout room. So if you don't want to leave, you don't have to. You can stay right here. Lori and I will help facilitate a conversation here. Julie, you want to stay here, or did you want to stay did you want to go to a breakout room?
You can throw me wherever you need me.
Okay,
Jim.
we'll figure it out as we go. This is always an adventure on Zoom, and so we will see you guys. I see the questions are in chat now, and we'll see you back here in about 15 minutes. The rooms are open, and just accept your assignments, and we should be in business. And let's see if I missed anybody. If you're still here, I might have missed you. So let's see. Carla, did I miss you? I did. No, she hasn't joined yet. So she's there. And then Hillary. Yep, there she goes. And Carla, probably, Carla, are you having trouble getting in your breakout room, or do you want to stay with us? She might be muted getting coffee. Lori, you're muted too. You can unmute if you want. Julie, I didn't put you in a room.
Okay, that's fine. I think there's enough.
And Lori, I might have assigned you to a room because I was just clicking things through. So
yeah, it said 4, but I just ignored it.
Yeah.
I can go into 4 if it looks smaller. So let me know.
I think they're all in rooms.
Okay.
We'll give them, okay, so it's 8:50. We want to do this till about 9:10. So I think maybe right at 9, I'll give them a, would that be right? Hold on, breakouts till 9 from 8:45 to breakout 20. Okay, so we have plenty of time there. Yeah, I think at 9, I'll give them a halfway.
Yeah.
It goes pretty fast. How was that, Julie? Did I do okay?
Yeah,
Keep it
so do
brief.
a halfway and then 9:10
Yeah.
they come back into the main. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you guys did great. That was good.
Levi's really good at that.
She is. I didn't know though if she knew her script was up, because usually
I don't
so
think
I
she did.
texted her and said, your script's up, but she was busy
But
talking.
you know what? Like, from an accessibility standpoint, that's a really good idea. Like, because I too was like, oh, her script is up. And then I thought, if someone had hearing, hearing
right.
impairment and or had trouble understanding, there was a script there to read. I actually kind of think like that's a good accessibility feature.
We're doing that for all of our classes. I thought the same thing, Jim. At first I was like, oh, and then she kind of moved it around. So then I thought maybe she knew it was there. I'm not sure. It's got me thinking about
during presentations? Do we put, because I
Put
get
some,
this
yeah.
with Call to Coach, the webcast that we do. We do them, globally. And so oftentimes I'll get folks who don't understand what someone was saying. Now, you can't put the whole script there, but, I'm kind of wondering what kind of things should I be including to help with that, not just from a hearing impairment standpoint, but from a language, standpoint.
Good point. Carla, are you back with us? I just thought I'd ask, so.
Yeah, no, it's good. You never know.
Maybe your computer froze. It's like at my house, the internet is so bad. I can't
Yeah.
I have to come in, which is fine, but
Well, in the morning, it's not too bad in our neighborhood, but when everyone starts jumping in and the kids get home from school, I don't do Zooms that are important in the afternoon.
So let me ask you two, like, what do you think? What are some things we've done during this time that you think should stay? Like, Lori, what do you think we keep out of all this?
well, I think, one of the big lessons we learned at Clarkson, because we couldn't close down, we had to keep some of those essential labs and oops.
No, that's okay. Did you get booted from a room?
I did.
Okay. Let me see if I can add you back in. Which room were you in?
I think it was 3.
3. Okay. So let's see. I haven't done it where I know how to add you back in later. Let's see.
I can stay here too. That's fine.
No.
Yeah, we'd love to talk with you, Robert.
Yeah. How are you, Julie?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I feel like I've had some more in-person meetings as probably others had. And so I'm like, I have to back to our new normal, factoring in travel time and all that other fun stuff.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Robert, I did figure it out. So we'll throw you back in the room. Here we go.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Good to see you.
So we had to keep our essential labs going. I mean, so students could get checked off on those skills. Otherwise, it would put them whole, our lockstep programs, it would put them a whole year behind. So we were able to do that, but like my science labs, so the second half of spring and the first half of summer, we put this, like the basic intro science labs all went online. So by then, my faculty they'd done, virtual labs for their whole semester. But then moving forward, then, we've been totally back on campus, wearing masks, social distance, all that. But what I think should stay is the idea that, not COVID, but a student that's not feeling well in the morning should not come to lab and give everybody else influenza A.
Yeah.
Options for them to work on their lab, remotely. So I think that should stay. And I think all of the faculty, we had to do overflow rooms. So we had my instructors teaching to 20 in this room and then Zooming with 20 in the other room in the fall. And or that maybe that was, whatever semester that was, I don't even know. I think maybe it was fall, but I sat in so many
blends together.
Yeah, I was making sure that, that Zoom worked in the other classroom and, just a lot of time.
Yeah.
And students would not, I'd put the mic right in front of them so that they could tell their instructor if something went wonky, but they wouldn't. It was like I put a snake on their desk. They're like this.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
But anyway, I think some of the remote things that we came up with, I think that is something that is good that can stay, that we can use for future semesters. But
Did you have any bandwidth problems with students like who didn't have access to the internet?
Not a ton, but we do have some. There's minimal requirements when they start at the college, but we can say that, but that doesn't mean once they get home.
Right.
So we had students that did have some issues, and we've got some university in DC just closed out, and so we had some students that we were able to work with remotely and teach out their program so they can graduate. So we've had issues there, and we had to just start calling people or different companies in that area to help them find some place to go where they would have enough.
Yeah, where they would have the bandwidth to be able to do it.
But we just feel badly because, you know, some of them had 1 semester or 2 semesters before they could graduate, and then they're just like, sorry.
And these are all college students, right?
Yeah.
That you
Yeah.
have there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think just a second, Jeannie jumped in here. Did you get booted? Jeannie, did you get booted from your room?
It was my own, you know, connection issue.
It was. Do you want me to put you back in there?
That would be great. Yes.
Do you know what room? Do you remember?
I think it was room 3.
Room 3. All right, I'll send you back.
Thank you. With Tracy.
Okay. All right. You should have an invite.
Bless you.
See ya.
It's good to see you. I am glad you're here, Jim, because and I'm learning so much from you, just having that little chatter as people were coming on, because usually like there's dead silence.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah,
you
no, I
just-
can't.
you're like, oh, you're used to this. You
I
got
can't
it.
tolerate that silence.
No,
I have to.
yeah.
So nervous. I'm like, okay, I start just blah, 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 blah. And
Yeah, we usually, and I can't believe I didn't do this. This is what we'll keep. One of the things we'll keep too is we always have kind of an engagement question that we ask. So on the big webcasts, we say, where are you listening from? And that gets people typing in the chat. Our webcasts are chat only, so we just broadcast to them. They don't have a chance to interact. So we say, where are you listening from? We started doing, what was kind of interesting is we started doing this thing, we call it Top 5 Friday. And it's put in your top 5 and what are you using successfully as far as like a talent goes. Now that works for us because everybody that listens has their top 5. Beth, did you get booted from your room?
Oh, one moment.
Or were you in a room?
I was not in a room.
You were not in a room. Are you just joining us?
Popped on. I
Welcome.
apologize.
Well,
Yes.
no, it's fine. It's
We're glad you made it, Beth.
Hi, Julie.
Hi.
we
Sorry to
are.
upset the apple cart. Yes.
No.
No.
We'll leave you here because it would be weird for you to jump in a room at this point. But we're spending a little time kind of talking through what kind of things, like what over the last year or so, what went right from a program perspective, and what would you like to keep? There's some in the chat room if you have that open. It's got some questions in there. But Beth, maybe we can hear from you. And I know we just put you on the spot for this.
Well, that's all right. One moment, I want to get my screen where you can see me.
Yeah.
I was kind of doing some different things, and I'm coming into it not from necessarily the educational. I had been in the educational arena a bit, running a after school program, but now I run Saving Grace, a perishable food program that we do.
Yeah.
Have helped move food into some of the schools, kind of help.
It's important. It's an important thing. How long
for the families?
Yeah. How long have you been doing that?
I started this 8 years ago, so we've been operational 7.5 years. So we capture excess food and redistribute it, and then we helped with the food boxes, of course, too.
So did the pandemic change much for you, or did it get harder?
Well, food supplies, because we don't purchase any food, we go and capture excess from grocery stores, but caterers, event centers, and of course, all that shut down, restaurants.
Right.
And so especially the prepared food went down to less than half. But then when I sat in on educational phone calls, the Friday morning meetings, I saw an opportunity that when they were getting those USDA food boxes, and then after that it's other farmer food boxes, farm to family food boxes. They had semis of it and parked at like Millard schools, and they didn't have a way to distribute it. So we helped distribute it to 9 schools through the summer, and then through other organizations the rest of the year.
And was there anything that you guys picked up during this time that was a benefit that you're going to keep? Like, because we were forced to do this, it worked, but it worked really well, we're going to keep it?
Well, we always worked remote. We have a small office, so that was there. I think it brought, what I saw in a positive way is, how it brought more awareness about food waste.
Mm.
When you saw things on the news, everybody did last summer about all this food being thrown out. And then we saw lines of people hungry in lines. And so I think it brought more awareness, but that's where we're going to really step up that piece of, because part of our mission is to bring awareness and education on food waste and hunger and how it affects, in education arenas and so forth. And so it's also bringing back that message to businesses on why it makes good business sense in order to donate. So I have my 5 points that I always mentioned, Julie.
Beth, is there a technology, like if you could wish for a technology solution that would make things better for what you do in the community, what do you, that doesn't exist today? Is there one?
Well, there's probably a couple.
Okay.
One, we did go to tablets, and we track not only how much poundage we get from each place and how much we take to each place. We distribute to over 40 nonprofits, including after school programs, but we also track the types of food, whether it's protein, dairy, produce, so forth. But that technology that we have on there is not very good. So we'd like to have that stepped up. Another one, and that's really out there a lot, are people to have a little where they can do an app to have, to have food picked up, but a lot of them don't have the infrastructure behind them. The apps are cool, but who's actually doing it? How are they? It's building relationships. So I think having that app, but also making sure the infrastructure is in place to use the app. So part of it is getting more people to donate food. I don't think we have enough people donating food yet. And that's our big mission. Does that make sense?
How do you contact potential donors, or how would someone know that you would come and get food and take it for them?
Right. So a lot of it's been recruiting from the very beginning, and then getting the word out through, I've also belonged to Omaha Restaurant Association for quite a while. When I came into this, I thought it was gonna be a lot of restaurants, but it's also grocery stores and caterers and all that. So it's just getting out there, and I think once we have 1 or 2, then we can get more, because like CHI Health, Levy Restaurants, once we got them, that really showed. Embassy Suites, their big events, they'll have 700 people, 500 show up. They got all that extra food. So it's kind of word of mouth, but also, we really want to step up our marketing materials to our food donors. Food recipients, they just have to apply. And if we're having enough food donors and they're a 501c3, we can see, as long as we can match what their needs are. Because we have to see whether they are just doing pantries, are they doing, or they're serving in-house, do they cook in-house, do they have refrigeration, do they have freezers? So we're matching the right food to the right place. So we're basically a distribution logistics operation.
Okay.
And you're able to do perishable?
That's what we focus on. We have refrigerated trucks, and we have drivers with food handling license. So our operations, it's all, Julie's gonna hear this because she heard this when she met with me.
Hey.
I'd say we're a nonprofit business providing a charitable service to the community, because I run it as a business. I come from a business background. Right.
Well, even nonprofits have to.
They are a business. Right? I got the paperwork. It says nonprofit business, right?
Yeah, you gotta run them.
Well, it's too important. We all need to have our nonprofits be sustainable, right?
Yeah.
Well, and the one reason that, Beth and I connected on the Parlay Happy Hour, but I have visited with her, and there's so many connections that we had, but one of was how, she grew 2 nonprofit organizations, which were great. But then also you talked about entrepreneurial and the logistics of doing this. That really is in that STEM realm. So I can put anything in STEM, but I think that's something that students need to think about as they're looking at careers. It doesn't have to be what you typically think of. Logistics and distribution, perishable, how long can that sit on the shelf? All of that is science-based and math-based. So
it's like the Uber for food for this, for food.
For that realm, yeah.
Yeah, right. Especially, and it's so unpredictable. It's got to move fast, and then you got to match donor to receiver quickly, right?
Because what we pick up in the morning, correct? What we pick up in the morning just is distributed that afternoon. We do not warehouse a thing. So as fresh as we get it, they get it.
Right.
So yeah, young people are very interested in this too, because it's really into the sustainability piece.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
otherwise it goes into our landfills. Actually, we're doing a training at one of the pantries today, because a lot of the pantries are throwing out a lot of food because their employees and staff, if they get too much of something, they don't know what to do with it. So we're matching up with Hillside Solutions about what's wasted food, still good, we can come get it and help distribute it, and what's food waste that should be compostable. So we're kind of doing some dual training on that, even at the pantries.
Yeah, because all the compostable stuff could make its way somewhere to gardens to be reused, right?
Right. So,
Yeah.
well,
That's
Gallup, are you with Gallup, Jim?
I am.
We were prior pandemic picking up from your food service there.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it really scaled it way back.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it's just coming back. I was on a call with those guys yesterday, and they said, man, we're full. We're not full, but this is the fullest they've been on a Monday since last year. And so it's starting to come back. So maybe you'll start.
And that's what we're saying.
We had a gardening program too, where you could buy in, and then we had a community garden, and they would bring the produce in on a regular basis. That was pretty cool. We have 2 minutes, so we should probably, well, Beth, that's great to hear. I think there's an awesome logistics to be worked out with technology, right? Type deal. Like,
we're open.
You know?
We'd love to, open that door. Yes.
As far as figuring that out of like, because it's got to move fast. People have to be ready, notified, get an alert, whatever, right? Do you have an alerting system? Like when you have something, how do folks know?
It's all we just have a relationship with, like, most of the stuff we kind of know what we're getting, but if we get some big amounts of stuff, like pallets of stuff, then it's a lot of phone calling to our recipients.
Yeah, I think there's some things there. All right, Julie, we're at 9:09 is what I have,
right.
and I've given them a 10 and a 5-minute warning. So
Okay.
I'm gonna give them the close rooms, which gives them 1 minute to come back. So let's close them. Beth, thanks for jumping in and
Thank you for
talking about that. What a great mission.
Thank you.
Jim, did you see the Julie's request about putting up the invite, or do you want me to find that?
Where did you put that request, Julie?
Oh, I just sent it to Lori.
Oh, straight. I didn't see it because
No, that's why you didn't.
it was private, because it was welcome back, everybody. Thanks for coming back in. Hopefully your breakout rooms were a success. I see all of room 2 back. So thank you, room 2, for following instructions. Appreciate that. Must have been Cynthia's leadership on that did that. So we have 2, and I see no, just 2 so far. So we'll wait for the others. Hopefully you had some great conversations. We're in a second. We're going to ask either the breakout room leaders or someone from the room to share some of these stories. So prep those a little bit. We're looking kind of for the highlights. We'll spend the next 10 to 15 minutes or so talking about those highlights. And so we're excited for that. Welcome back. Looks like room 4 and 3 and 2 are back. We're waiting on, I think 1 just got, yep, they're all coming in. So thanks for coming back. I think we have everybody, all rooms accounted for. Let's give it just an extra second here. Looks like you guys are back in. We had Julie, Beth, Lori, and I had our own conversation, which was very cool. Hopefully you had great conversations as well. I'm gonna ask the room leaders maybe start with these stories. And room leaders, if you've got someone particularly energized about the topic and you want to turn it over to them, you can. But let's I don't know. Why don't we just start at the top? Room 1. Let's see, who is my who was what? Audrey, was that you? Okay, why don't we start with you? Let's just hear a little bit about what you guys talked about in your room, and maybe some success stories and some of those kinds of things.
Sure, I'll tell like some of the patterns I was noticing as taking notes, and then hand it over to Peggy to share like a more specific concrete story. So some of the patterns we noticed is that there were a lot of opportunities to innovate, a lot of shifting programs virtually, opportunities to have some of the most popular classes turn into like an in-person, like kit-based sort of class, some Canvas courses. And a lot of people were saying enrollment was up, registration was up, and they were able to reach a wider audience. Some of the challenges, I think one that, you know, really resonated with me is that balance between hybrid and in-person connectiveness and Zoom fatigue, increased registration, increased reach, but, you know, like having a harder time with that like multitasking aspect. So I think just like that idea of like focusing on that like balance, like figuring out what that is where a lot of people's brains were at. And then I'll pass it over to Peggy, who will share more about her UBeats program.
Thanks, Peggy.
Thanks, Audrey. Good morning, Peggy Moore with the University of Nebraska Medical Center. I'm the Director of e-learning, and we've worked with our High School Alliance and University of Nebraska experts, and we've developed over the last 2 years working in collaboration with UNO College of Education and the Arts and Sciences College, a program called UBeats, which is STEM education for grades 6 through 12. It's free, online, 65 modules that are focused on sciences through the health science lens, including careers, and then genetics, pathology, microbiology, pharmacology, which is chemistry. And we launched it really quickly. We did a pilot in 2019 with several OPS schools and across the state of Nebraska. And then we did a quick launch in March of 2020 and had 8,000 hits on our modules in the pandemic, moved to remote teaching and learning. And then we formally launched in the fall academic term of August. And in the first academic year, we had 10,000 enrollments in our Canvas course. And that's exciting for us, but now we're ready to engage with our participants and get feedback on how to improve and make it better for our teachers and better for our students. And so learning from our peers here about how to engage effectively is really the goal. And then the other piece is our funding for our initial startup was great. And then we're moving forward to how do we sustain our program going forwards. So next underwriting opportunities. Thank you.
Great. Audrey, anything else from your group that you want to share?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I was reading through the notes and realized there was one more pattern that was kind of jumping out at me is some people were saying that kind of like that hybrid format they were really excited to continue to pursue for adult education, and some of the more like youth programming people were feeling like that was better in tune for in person. So I think that was something that 2 or 3 people had shared. So I wanted to bring that to the full group.
Great. Room one, any other thoughts that may have got missed? We'll come back around to it, but any other? Okay, good. We that reminds me, we at Gallup, you know, we had to go virtual for all our training as well, and actually the reviews went up. So we're gonna keep both methods of that, and both virtual and in person, just because there's some real benefits to. We had 4 continents in one class one time, which was super cool. So it's like, wow, okay, this works. Let's keep this. So, all right, Cynthia, I think you were room 2, right?
Yes.
And what do you have to share with us?
Yeah, I'll just, as Audrey did, just give a quick overview. I mean, some themes that I saw, we had a number of people say that bringing professionals to students, you know, as mentors was really working well virtually. You know, there was some loss in not being able to see students at all, but there was tremendous gain by the flexibility that you could spend more time with students, and that you didn't have to drive, you didn't have to, you know, mitigate multiple schedules. The other thing I think that was a theme is that we were all willing to learn new things to keep things pushing forward, whether that was the folks at the Children's Museum learning how to do video content, whether it was you know, teachers being really willing to integrate the virtual platform into their classroom, we were all learning new things. So Heather was going to share more about what was going on at Millard.
Good morning. I'm Heather Phipps. I am the Associate Superintendent in Millard Public Schools. And we led off with a success related to STEM. And I said, we are pretty darn proud that we launched a STEM academy at Millard West High School in the midst of a pandemic. So we did all of the planning. It is a NDE approved Rule 47 academy. Like, we applied for that. We did our first recruiting. We have our first kids starting in August. We're working on, purchasing all of the equipment, and did all of that during a pandemic. So that was our success story. We're pretty proud of not, screeching to a halt in that work, just because of COVID. And I would echo what Cynthia said. I think the themes were really clear, that people were willing to find ways to do this. It's a lot of what they said in group one. People were willing to find ways to connect. And moving forward, people feel more comfortable with this. I use the example of teachers feeling more comfortable Zooming in professionals who could connect with their students in ways that would have been really difficult to do with, field trips. And I think moving forward, that'll be a huge advantage.
Heather, I used to go to high school campuses and do career day type conversations when we were recruiting for our internship program. And I would have easily, from an industry standpoint, I would have easily zoomed into a virtual classroom, of high schoolers to talk to them. So anything, as you think about the fall, is that program going to stay intact as is, or and you'll keep moving forward?
Yeah, for sure. We have our first class of 25 is starting, and we start with the juniors, and it's a junior and senior program. So we have a cohort of 25 kids as juniors, and then 25 kids, they move up to seniors. So we'll have 2 classes always rotating through. It's currently our 5th. We've had some that have come and gone, but we have a health science academy and an education academy and an entrepreneurship and business academy and a transportation distribution logistics academy. So this will work very similarly to that.
Beth, there's your logistics. Beth was in our group and we were talking about logistics. So there's your connection to help with the logistics. Great, Heather, thanks for doing that. Appreciate it. For the sake of time, we don't want to miss the other 2 groups. So Tracy, I think you had group 3, and so I'll let you take it from here.
Yep, and a lot of the same themes. We had a really nice mix actually of education, nonprofit, and business in our group, and kind of addressing all different ages. And I think, for the most part, a lot of us felt like everybody had pivoted. We've made a lot of accommodations. And I'm actually going to ask Kathy McGovern, and I hope I got your last name right, to share her experience with just the community really stepping up during this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, my name is Kathy McGovern. I work at Avenue Scholars as the business outreach coordinator. My colleague, Ana Lopez-Shala, is also on the call. We work with high school and post-secondary students in our Avenue Scholars program in internships. And then we also have a program called Intern Omaha, which is our high school seniors throughout the community. And what I was sharing in our group is how we've all had to pivot and do this together. It's been unique because as adults and professionals, we worked with youth and students, and we all had to figure out how to do this together. Many of our students were already entrenched in their internships when COVID happened. Some of our companies, their hands were tied. There was nothing they could do, and we had to drop off with them. But we had a number of our businesses step up, and they're like, okay, we're going to figure this out. Let's do this together. Where they actually brought technology to our students in their homes, made sure that they had secured Wi-Fi, and they were able to continue their internship. It was neat for us to see because going forward, it was a huge success. So, if there's opportunities for students to have internships and they can't necessarily always get into the office, they have this capability now of Zooming in, working remotely, and really being an active participant in this internship experience. So we definitely see it going forward. I also had shared that, many times our businesses will come in, or we will go out and do like a career exploration. Not all of our students can do that, but now, our businesses got online with us, our students got online with us, and we had this great, conversation foundation where, businesses could share who they are, what they're looking for, what their career pathways are, and opportunities for our students. So, it's been challenging. Let's make that all very clear. But I think out of the challenges, we've found some really great positive ways to keep going forward with it.
Kathy, quickly, in the fall, will internet connectivity stay for these students that didn't have it or struggled to have it before? I'm always afraid that stuff will disappear and then we'll go back. Will that stay?
That will stay.
Okay, good. That's good. It's good to hear. For those wondering, yes, we will end on time. So if you're thinking, oh, we're going to run late, no, we're going to end right on time. So get you to your 9:30 meeting. Mike, you're the last group, and so let me have you unmute and give us your overviews plus anything you wanted to share.
Okay, yeah, our group, very similar to what has been mentioned, but again, we had a lot of figuring out how to pivot and go virtual, and again, it was mentioned that adults and high school students seem to do better. Some of the challenge was with the elementary, but then in a minute, I'm going to ask Mark, if you would, to talk about your program at SAC for just a minute, because I thought that was pretty innovative in what you accomplished. So that'll give, if you would do that in just a minute. But we heard from how SAC Museum, how they're doing it out there. We also heard from the Med Center and how they were doing their educational experiences and doing some virtual training, like with the Benson High School kids. A very interesting way to do 120 kids in CPR on a Thursday and Friday morning in school, tying together the high school kids with the university students. It sounded like a really cool thing that they would want to continue. How the Game and Parks Education Division, we heard a little bit about that and how they're working with and doing some of their programming. Such things as doing webinars with the young children every week, where they can tune in and hear a story for 25 minutes. But how they are trying to communicate throughout the state and educate and provide literacy. So we heard some stories like that, very much how to pivot, and the idea that things would continue beyond taking the good parts of the virtual and figuring out how to tie it in with the live events, right? And so it sounds like everybody was going to be able to take things with them, as you've all described. I'll just turn to Mark. Can you just give a little bit to the 2-minute version of some of what you did at SAC?
So I'll try to keep it short. In 2019, we had 32,200 some student contacts in outreach programs for after school, activity trip programs in the museum, and a variety of other opportunities. But we weren't ready for the COVID. So the museum shut down for 2.5 months. During that 2.5 months, we started working on the virtual pivot. Long story short, when the museum reopened, everybody else didn't. And so we worked with the Omaha Public Schools and others to transition our program for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders to a virtual platform. Initially, we were going to do a hybrid where some of those classes would get something in the museum, others would get them virtually. It ended up being all virtual. So my department ended up meeting about half those student contacts for 2020. We just finished the virtual delivery for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade in OPS. About 12,900 and some students got 2 activities and a virtual tour. But those 2 activities, we built the boxes, we created a warehousing operation, sent them all the materials, lesson plans for teachers, state standards to make sure they met the curriculum requirements for the state, and organized, planned, performed, and did all that with the Omaha Public Schools and another foundation. And we're very happy to make that reach. Now what we're doing is taking that virtual pivot and trying to extend our reach beyond our general service area to rural underserved groups and getting something as well. So taking a change and turning it into something more permanent and useful for those who can't access the museum directly.
That's awesome. Mark, thanks for sharing that. Hopefully Starlink will change some of our rural internet connectivity problems here for the future. That is a big project that took place during this time. Julie, I promised people we'd let them out on time. And so why don't you thank everybody for coming and talk about maybe some next steps.
And we are going to be out on time. Thank you again for coming. I want to reiterate, this is a great time to make connections. It sounded like you already did, and we'll continue it. A survey will be coming out shortly after we log off. We really do need your input on that survey. That helps us decide whether the time is right, whether the subject matter is right, and that guides us. So I appreciate it, and also want to thank our sponsors, the STEM Trail Center at UNO, Omaha Henry Doorly Zoo and Aquarium, Avenue Scholars, Clarkson College, and BVH Architecture. Without their support, we would not be able to offer this program free of charge. So we appreciate that. Past this invitation, it'll be coming out to you again, to your friends and neighbors. Next one is August 26th. Same time, same station. So thank you again for coming.
Julie, go ahead and stop the recording. And if you're listening live, you can drop. Thanks for doing that. It's great to see you guys. We'll capture some of these stories and look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for coming in. Julie and Lori, would you guys stay for me?